10 o'clock. This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news read by Brian Martin. Among those who are going to Washington for President Kennedy's funeral are the Duke of Edinburgh, Sir Alec Douglas Hume, and Mr. Wilson. Family mourners and members of the United States government have been filing past the body, now lying in state in the White House. Mr. Khrushchev has said the assassination is a heavy blow to peace lovers everywhere. After the news, there'll be a program of tribute to the late president. Aldous Huxley has died in California, aged 69. Heads of state and national leaders from all over the world will be flying to Washington during the weekend for the funeral service for President Kennedy on Monday. Britain will be represented by the Duke of Edinburgh, Sir Alec Douglas Hume, and Mr. Harold Wilson. They will leave London Airport together tomorrow afternoon. The Duke will return to London immediately after the service, but the Prime Minister, who will be accompanied by his wife, will stay on in Washington until Tuesday or Wednesday. Mr. Khrushchev is sending his first Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Mikoyan. President de Gaulle and the new West German Chancellor, Dr. Erhard, will be there, and so will King Baudouin of the Belgians, Queen Frederica of Greece, President de Valera of the Irish Republic, who's over 80, and the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Lester Pearson. Throughout the day, under gloomy skies and pouring rain, a procession has been filing into the White House, where the body of Mr. Kennedy now rests. Among the family mourners was Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy, with her two young children, Caroline and John, clutching at her skirt. President Johnson led members of Mr. Kennedy's cabinet, and other mourners included the former President Eisenhower, members of both houses of Congress, and Supreme Court judges. The coffin, draped with the American flag, lies in the white and gold East Room of the White House. It is on the catafalque used after President Lincoln's assassination in 1865. At each corner is a lighted candle, and behind each candle stands a member of a Guard of Honor drawn from the three services and the Marine Corps. Tomorrow, Mr. Kennedy's body will be taken to the Congressional Building on Capitol Hill, where it will lie in state under the dome. There, the public will be allowed to file past and pay their last respects. On Monday, it will be taken to St. Matthew's Cathedral for the funeral. It's expected that the body will be buried in the family vault in Boston. President Johnson, in his first official act, has declared Monday a day of national mourning and invited the people of the world to observe it. The police at Dallas in Texas say that 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald, who has been charged with the murder of Mr. Kennedy and a policeman, is maintaining his innocence. But they said he had freely admitted being a member of the Communist Party. In Washington, the Defense Department revealed that Oswald, who is a former Marine, wrote in 1961 to Mr. Connolly, the governor of Texas, who was wounded when Mr. Kennedy was assassinated. At the time, Mr. Connolly was Secretary of the Navy. Oswald was protesting against what he called a dishonorable discharge from the Marines. The protest was rejected by a Marine Review Board after Mr. Connolly had left the Navy Secretary's post. Moscow Radio has broadcast a report from the New York correspondent of the Russian news agency TASS, accusing the American police of trying to implicate the Communist Party in Mr. Kennedy's death. The State Department in Washington said they had no evidence indicating that Russia, Cuba, or any foreign power was involved. A man who worked with Oswald in the warehouse in Dallas, the building from which the shots were fired, has been questioned by the police. They said he was on the list of subversive people because of his left-wing connections. Our correspondent in Dallas says it has not been suggested that he was involved in the murder. The Prime Minister was among more than 3,000 people who attended a Requiem Mass in Westminster Cathedral this morning. Tomorrow morning at 10:30, he's going to a service in Westminster Abbey. Tributes to Mr. Kennedy were paid during today's services in many British synagogues. Both Houses of Parliament will meet on Monday afternoon to pay their respects and will adjourn shortly afterwards. Mr. Butler will speak in the Commons on behalf of the government, and Mr. Macmillan hopes to be well enough to be there. The Queen has ordered court mourning for a week. Crowds at this afternoon's Football League matches observed a minute's silence. One of the warmest tributes to Mr. Kennedy has come from Mr. Khrushchev. In a message to President Johnson, he speaks of the assassination as a heavy blow to all who want peace, and says the Russian people are indignant at this foul murder at a time when international tension has been easing. And to Mrs. Kennedy he has said he will always remember his meetings with her husband. Mrs. Khrushchev has also sent a message of sympathy to Mrs. Kennedy. Mr. Khrushchev and Mr. Gromyko called on the American ambassador this morning to tell him of their sorrow. Soviet newspapers praise the president's work for peace, and our Moscow correspondent says ordinary Russians have shown genuine grief and concern. In a special program this afternoon, Russian television showed Mr. Kennedy's coffin being carried into the White House, the first pictures to be relayed direct from America to Russia by space satellite.